What specific financial goals do you have in your life?
To not worry about money. I don't know where my money's going.
This is a very invasive conversation to have on camera. What's more important to you, date night or being debt-free?
I'm mad at that card.
Cut it up, dude! Cut it up, bro! Oh!
With a little health and a little wealth and a lot of love, that's the life that we live. Suits and scrubs.
Hello, everybody! Welcome to another episode of Suits and Scrubs. Normally we say a little bit of health, a little bit of wealth, a lot of love. I'm not going to do that with my guy here, Chase.
Yeah.
So as you guys see, this is a special episode, something I've been sitting on for a while. I'm super, super excited. It's our first one of these. My guy Chase has elected to be in the hot seat and allow me to do a financial review. We're calling it Suits and Scrubs Financial Review. Probably a better name for it in the future. We are watching on camera. If you're watching from the podcast, I do have this little handlebar situation going on. So I'm trying it new. The thing is, if you look at the podcast artwork, which you've seen it, right?
Yeah.
And then, it has a handlebar. So I wanted to try it. The funny thing is like every guy likes it, every girl hates it.
Well, shoot, we really need to pay more attention to what the women in our lives want, rather than what we want. I have my own selfish issues with my hair. Like, I like it being long. When it's like, no. Now, the funny thing is, a lot of times things just kind of wear on you. Like, long hair will wear on you. I don't know about the mustache and all that. It is very much like a romantic thing.
I like the mustache.
Yeah, me too.
It's
not
like 80s porn or like.
Well, a friend of mine, I respected her opinion very much, but she was like, the amount of average looking men that can look attractive is unreal when it comes to mustaches. If you have the ability to wear a mustache, you can take yourself from being average looking to really attractive. You can pull it off. Now, granted, it's kind of like a nose ring for a female.
I think it's confidence though.
Yeah, well, everything is confidence, but there is a truth to this. Like with nose rings for females, so you can wear it. Some look great with it. Some like, no, you shouldn't do it.
And Katie, I think she looks great with it.
Yeah, but other girls like, no. I don't know if there's probably an algorithm we can chat GPT it, but
Tune into Zach and Chase.
yeah, man.
Would you say Chase? What Chase takes?
Chase's hot take.
Yeah, Chase. He has a lot of these.
Oh yeah, follow me on Instagram, Chase DeCarlo,
There it is.
Alderman District 6. Yeah.
Yes. Cheers to that. I'm gonna cheers it, bro.
Yeah, in all honesty, you get what you vote for, good and hard. So making sure, and on the voting aspect, left, right, center, all it is, you get what you vote for, good and hard. Very important for the local aspects of city council and, your local, districts in regards to senators. All that stuff really impacts you more so than the federal level stuff.
It does.
And a lot of these individuals, companies will buy votes. You just got to get those motherfuckers out of there, because that's what they're doing. They're basically being bought for their interests, and not everyone. That's not fair, but
Yeah, and I'll have Chase on for actually part 2 of this, because what I want to do a little bit differently than what the gurus out there that do these financial reviews, financial wellness checkups. I want to do this, and I want to check in with you in a year. So let's check in a year. I'll let you understand, and that's a good segue actually, Chase. Why don't you, in like 3 minutes or so, tell the audience who you are, what you do for a living, what your income is. And guys, we're getting to numbers. Chase has agreed to be fully transparent with us, and I have the spreadsheets here. So if you see me on YouTube, I'm going to pull my laptop and do like this number, go. But Chase has agreed to do it. And before we start though, I told Chase, like, he may get frustrated with me in the beginning or through the thing, but just know that I'm going to try to help you based upon your financial situation, which is you have a positive net worth. So number one, you already had the pack. A lot of people don't have a positive net worth. And so
sometimes it's better to be lucky than it is to be good.
That's what you keep telling me. He said that twice today. I kind of like that quote. So Chase, tell us about yourself. Tell us what you do for a living and what your income levels, and then let's just go through your statements.
Okay. Elevator speech off the rip. So my name is Chase DeCarlo. I live in Savannah, Georgia, the most beautiful city on the East Coast.
We second that.
Yeah. Well, it is an underrated but very much beloved place that's exceptionally expensive to live at. And, what I do for a living is beneficial, for the income range. I am in medical device sales, was, professional, college athlete, was able to get into this via luck more so than any other skill. But, I sell medical devices with, diabetes, breast pumps, wound care devices, wound vacs, bed alternators, it's different, respirators. I don't necessarily need to know every single solitary thing. I more or less go in with the clinicians, with the hospital systems, with the individuals, and figure out like, where's this stuff getting held up from patients that really need care? They really need their supplies. They need these things to go through. And my job is to make it less of a burden on the patient and, the clinician, giving them an avenue in order to send those things. So the rewards are beneficial. The stresses are really high. But, kind of lost my train of thought on where to go with it. But yeah.
Yeah. So one thing that you said is like, guys, I want you guys to know this. Chase is an ex-NFL football player.
That's the rumor.
And it's a true rumor. This dude used to play NFL football. So I have someone who's an ex-football player on the show who turned medical sales, who also had a stint in politics. And so
you asked it's not over. It's not over. It's not over. It's not over.
We'll get there because that's part of the financial analysis.
Yeah.
I want let's tease the audience. Let's don't give it all away. But I think it's important to know that because you were making like $15,000 a week as an ex-NFL football player.
Oh, look, yeah. There's a lot. Speaking, what I will say is there's a lot that's not known. I mean, when you break down numbers and you like to look at numbers, micro economics is fascinating when you look at NFL and NBA teams. NBA teams are smaller in scale where you have like 62-man roster with an NFL team. Like the amount of cap space that, the guys who make stupid amounts of money that we read about, 4 or 5 guys on 63 men. The other ones have to make up the rest of that. And that's, day-to-day guys that come in, they either prove it or don't prove it, move on to the next, move on to the next, move on to the next, move on to the next one. And, it's what transitions well into sales because that's essentially what it is. Like, how well are you able to do for me right now? Like, how are you able to do that for me?
And that's why you got into sales, and I think you're really, really good at sales. And I hate to say sales because a lot of people have an icky feeling about sales. But my thing is I feel like you put products in places where people need them.
Mm-hmm.
And then you educate people basically to let them know they have this need. And one thing about your story, I definitely want to share with listeners, why medical sales,
So type 1 diabetic, I was diagnosed at 7, with type 1 diabetes. And it was, a really great athlete growing up. And, gifted is an understatement because, just was able to do things that no one else was able to do.
Where's
like
the camera. He's not lying. This man is gifted.
Like I was able to do things and, I was gifted in regards like with judo. So judo is what I first got into other than like skateboarding and bicycling because I'd do backflips off of curb jumps that we had around there. Just like nonsensical things, doing backflips in pools off of different things. My parents were like, we need to get this kid into, some sort of sports. And there was a great avenue, which was judo. And judo was, exceptionally good because everyone that was teaching me was an Olympic level athlete. My sensei, John Pereira, was world renowned. He left Brazil because Brazil, I guess, boycotted the Olympics the year that he would compete. He was a world champion 5 times in a row. And on top of that was going to go to the Olympics, but Brazil boycotted the Olympics. So he left Brazil and came to America to teach judo. And that was my sensei.
That's awesome.
Like that guy. And even so young, Brett, really, really young kid was able to, get into, sports, but that was my passion. That's what I really, really liked to do. And contracting diabetes, the medical industry at the time was like, you can't play sports. Right. My parents were like, you're going to have to live at home with us. I'm like, that's not happening.
Right.
And, was able to transition that negative aspect into, just barreling through and just making things end up working. And, the technology kind of followed up there.
Too, I know you. So, what inspired you to get into medical sales was because you have that ailment. That's something you can't control, type 2, right? Which is very different from type 1. And so I know Emma's not here today. She explained type 1, type 2, and we'll probably do that on a future episode, which you have some good examples of that. But I do want to move on to get into the financial side of this. But I think it's inspiring to understand that you were ex-NFL player, you got into medical sales to help people, and you really want to focus on diabetes to help those people because he's a passion of yours. You know what it's like because you live it.
Yeah.
And I've been around you. I know when that thing goes off, you need some orange juice, or when Chase is grumpy and the whole entire room, Chase is in a bad mood, the whole entire room is going to be in a bad mood. That's just kind of how his energy kind of permeates the group a little bit. I'm not knocking you, that's some power there.
Yeah. I mean,
but it makes sense. Like, I get it.
I'm blessed that I have friends well enough to know what's going on when things are going on, because things can go really poorly really quickly.
And I used to take offense to that when we first were entering our friendship. I was like, God, this dude was awesome. He's like on cloud nine. We're like broing out, like, yeah. And then the next thing I'm like, ugh. And then like everyone's around me is like, no, he has diabetes. Like his blood sugar is like spiked down. I say, oh, so now when he's in this mood, he's like, Chase, do you need some orange juice? Do you need to sleep? Do you need food? Like, well, sure.
We'll get to the financial stuff, I promise. But like in regards to like diabetes and all that stuff, there was an interesting, like, it's tough to get people to learn. What I learned to do is describe it like an injury. If you break your leg, you're not going to be running around immediately after, right? It's like, you're a low blood sugar, even a high blood sugar that is an immediate, needs immediate assistance, in order to correct that, because that's not normal. Right. Normal bodies don't do that. It freaks out when it's going wrong.
Right.
So, it just takes 20 minutes or, the right planning in order to get that stuff done. Right. But, doing that with, contact sports without a Dexcom, without like CGMs,
I would love to have you on the podcast. I think we should table that for now, but let's have you on the podcast on a health episode. And I'd love to understand, like, what is it to be and live like a type 2 diabetic, especially
type 1 diabetic. So type 2s are probably 9 out of 10 diabetics are type 2 diabetics. Right. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's just a different, they're very much the same, but they're very much different. And not to trivialize the difficulties that go with type 2 diabetes, because there are many. But in type 1, there's a certain amount of finality that, like, you need to take insulin, you need to eat this, and when you do eat this, something will happen, and so you have to accommodate for that. Whereas, like, in type 2, layman's terms types of things, there's a delayed response in what's going on through your body, and you can help your body, do better things by eating better, or you can help your body by taking, medications that then reinvigorate that stuff. And that's not all of it. That's dumbed down completely.
Yeah. But we'll talk. I think we should talk about that on a health episode for sure, because I think it's so important. I hate to glaze over that topic, but I think it's important to understand your makeup, because you are somebody who is inspired by that to help other diabetics.
Well, the reason why I was able to even play sports is because of a sales rep. So I had a family practice, Dr. Lascano, and Dr. Lascano, is like, old school guy. I gotta say old school. I was 7 years old. I don't remember. But basically, the sales rep had came in and was talking about some new things, which was an insulin pump. An insulin pump was kind of outside of the realm of possibility, and they were looking for people to test these things out. And I, was someone that went up to like Yale, and went up to the medical devices where they put me in, clinical trial. I mean, with medical devices is different than clinical trials, but they had tests. So I went and they gave me a freaking, what was that little toy, the Furbies? They gave me a Furby for like a 72-hour like analysis to go over my blood sugars with like insulin pumps and stuff like that. So, but I mean, it was a lot of risk. And, my parents was like, here you go, sent me over there to make sure that I, got the best medical care possible. But like, it was basically a test to go into this insulin pump thing.
Helped you, right?
Yeah.
And that's probably, like, I didn't know that part of your story. So that's good to let the kind of viewer understand why you were into medical sales. But all right, so let's change gears a bit. So let's get into some financials. I have two more questions for you before we jump into the financials, the nitty gritty. The number two question I have is this is a very invasive conversation to have on camera. So number one is, I'm gonna say this a bunch. I really do appreciate this because I think a lot of people can relate to you and your story and where you are financially. And so I just want to ask you, like, what inspired you to be on the show, and what inspired you to say, yeah, I agree to this?
Most often the component of help, right? Like, hey, Zach, you're an expert in this and can help. And I'm no stranger to asking for help, or at least being able to, take help.
Yeah.
And, I've tried and failed some things. I've also made, some mistakes, but yeah, but, in so much as, like, well, shoot, what now? Like, why not go the best way? So, really just get help.
Love it. All right. Now, third question I'm asking every guest this is, what is one thing from a financial perspective that you have done you absolutely regretted, whether it was a car, a house, a financial product, an investment, an ETF, an option, limitless, not like a washing machine. I'm talking about like I bought 40 grand on a car and blah, blah, blah. So what was one financial thing that
I think that's probably the reason why we're sitting here today. I don't see anything that I can justify all of the things that I've done, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely not a good thing, right? Many of the purchases that I've made, like let's say my house, for example, was on a whim. Without looking at the financial statements, if you have one in mind, you're like, hey, this one, like I probably will admit, yeah, I regret that.
All right, let's revisit that question at the end.
Let's revisit the question, like because I don't want to say anything, that I don't want to seem like I'm not critical of myself. I can't think of one that I like, shoot, I spent $75,000 on something that I really shouldn't have. Well,
and we're going to talk about like statements and all that in a second.
Cool, yeah.
And then how I kind of pushed you like to get them things in, and you took it seriously. I saw what you put together. It's not easy. It's not easy. Okay, so I like to anchor on this because as we talk about this, and guys, if you are looking at the YouTube channel, my bad. I do have the laptop here. I got statements. I got all kind of stuff, and we're going to show some B-roll on that. And the video editor's going to do the damn thing.
Oh, so they're going to put my numbers up there?
Yeah.
All right.
And not like, you tell me what you're comfortable with, but we're talking about it.
No.
Okay. What specific financial goals do you have in your life?
I want to be able to not worry about money. I mean, I kind of don't worry about money as is, but I do find that I don't know where my money's going.
Got it.
Which is, a problem, right? It's like, dang, like, because I think back, I was making less money and kind of had more money to spend. And, your life does change. You do more things, do this, but like, I don't see my life being super excessive and I don't have money left over, and I make good enough money where I should have money left over.
Exactly. Let's associate a specific, I'm a smart person. I don't know if you heard that terminology. We have SMART goals. We have a very specific goal in mind. What does that look like for you? Throw me a number out.
No debt.
No debt. Okay. I can work with that. And I'm going to hold you to it. I'm going to anchor you to that goal. All right. So.
Oh, wait, well, can I add to that as well?
Yeah.
Multiple streams of income and no debt.
Okay. I can help. I'm all about some multiple streams.
Yeah.
I have about 4, 5, 6 maybe. I'm planning on retiring from my job by this time this episode airs.
Nice.
It's big old middle finger. I don't do the middle finger because I'm planning. Asked me not to do cussing and all that, but
I'm planning on winning the lottery. It's my turn. It's my turn. It's my turn.
All right, so Chase, I'm looking at your financial statements. I'm pulling my computer in front of me. Sorry if it blocks the view, but at the end of the day, like this is what we're trying to do here. All right, so when I have glasses, I do math. So math is going to be math in today. Now, what sets me aside from other people that do this kind of stuff is I'm not just talking about the hard numbers. I'm going to get into the psychology of this stuff, right? Say, why are you in this situation? Or you're not in a bad situation, but why did you make the decision that you made? So I'm going to...
Good luck.
Right. Mind and Money Matters is a segment that we do here on Susan Scrubs, and that's going to be the whole theme of every time I do this review. So, all right, I have it in front of me. So, Chase, you have a monthly income of about $7,600 of your take-home pay. So you have a very healthy, give or take, average.
Yeah.
You have a very healthy income. Your housing is $1,300, $1,247 to be exact. That's your house payment. What's your interest rate on your house?
I think it's 3%.
That's awesome. Okay. All right. Let's hold on that. Your housing utilities about $276. So by the way, my projected of housing,
and forgive me, give or take in regards to the interest rates, because
you're not.
It might be No, I'm not variable.
Good.
I mean, I did refinance because I did refinance, and I think I refinanced for a different interest rate, but it was better because I was able to get out of paying some sort of
PMI.
yeah, it was something like that. And
The thing is, like, and I love that you say that because you know what PMI is. So check this out. So,
like mortgage insurance.
yes, it is.
Yeah,
Check this out. So the banks lend you money.
Yeah.
That's how they make money. That's how banks make money. Newsflash: I work for a bank. I know this. But for insurance,
Do you know?
but insurance purposes is they'll actually make the person who gets a loan buy insurance just in case you default. But guess what? When you default, sometimes the banks insure your house and do all kinds of things. So not only, check this out, y'all. I never got this. I work in the banking industry. By the time this episode airs, like, I could put my job at risk for saying this because I'm just being honest. So here I am, a bank. I'm giving you money, lending you out. You're paying 3, 4, 5, 7% what it is now here in April. Not only am I making money off of you, and this is something Dave Ramsey talks about a lot, and I agree with him on this, is I'm making money off of you, but you're going to pay for your risk through your private mortgage insurance. So if you default, bam, that's fine. We got insurance on you anyway.
Well, you know you know where that came from, right?
Up until you have equity in your house. So when you have equity in your house, it's a certain percentage of equity. I don't have the number at the top.
It's 20%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember because that's what I did, and it was a good thing. But yeah, that I think that was, I don't know when, but what that was it was entered into legislation in order to do that, in order to circumvent banks being able to not go bankrupt, and then they ended up going bankrupt anyway.
Right, back in 2008. Which you're right about that. I don't want to say there's not. It's something with a purpose. It's just something that
It was shady.
To me, I feel like when you I don't pay PMI. I've done 6 real estate transactions. I own about 3 properties and counting. Higher end properties. You know, that's something I talk about on the podcast. But one thing I will say is I never pay PMI. I think PMI is taking money and throwing out the window. It doesn't go anywhere. They go anywhere. So that's great. I actually glad.
Better than rent.
It is better than rent. I love it. I love it. So Chase, congratulations. I project 37% of your income should go to your housing. And guys, if you want the spreadsheet, go to susanscrubbspodcast.com. It's part of the spreadsheet. Did it help you?
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll talk about that in a second. 37%. Chase, you're 29%.
Nice.
So kudos to that. Okay. Your utilities are 276. Your internet.
The utilities are higher.
Yeah, your utilities higher, but that's okay. Like, you know, so your internet, so you're paying for cable and internet and all that.
No. So doing this scrub, basically what I did is I got internet, and I was like, give me the best internet. And their best internet apparently is $180 a month, and I didn't need $180 a month internet. AT&T. I mean, I have like what restaurants pay for their. I mean, the amount of data.
Action for you is that's the first thing that we're going to do is reduce that.
Of course, yeah. I was doing that today because they kind of were like, I don't know why they let you get this, and I was like, oh yeah, that makes no sense. Almost like paying 2 insurance payments on your truck.
Which helps. We'll talk about that in a second. Yeah. So when we do these financial reviews, that's why it's so important. But like you, a lot of Americans don't sit down and do their budgets every month. They just like, oh, I hope it's going to make. Oh, I'm just going to do this. And there's some things that I've done some analysis on that's I think is going to shock you. And I hope it shocks you to take the right action. But I
most assuredly will. Yeah. I mean, Zach, the fact of the matter is, my job pays for my ability to go out and do what I do. But again, because I have the money that I can do, like, really it's just comfort. And not, I make it sound like, I don't mean to belittle certain things, like, but there's stuff like paying for, lawn care, paying for this, paying for that, like that you kind of don't worry about when you're in college. Like, you don't worry about when you're in college, then you have a job, you're like, I need that. And you forget that, like, oh shoot, that adds up. $65 every 2 weeks is $100. Like that's $1,000.
Let's hold that because I want to get into specifics. I'm not going to go through every single one of your.
Oh no, look, I went and had to do this for the podcast, and I gave myself an ulcer just looking at because I was like, oh my god, I can't believe I'm doing this. I can't believe I did that.
expenses. So so there is value that you've had here. And we'll talk more about those specifics, especially about some things you found. Because we talked about off camera. I want to tell you guys about this. Really quickly, your car payment is $653.98. I'm going to tell you this. I like you to be about 10%. You're at 15.2%. So you're way above where your range is in the car payment.
Fuck it. I like my truck. I'm keeping my truck.
And we're going to talk about that. And then your food budget is actually right in range. $800 a month is what you say. But let's look at that. Your entertainment budget, I say about 10%. You're well below that, but I don't think you're representing your entertainment budget.
Well, it's kind of broken up in other things because entertainment in regards to subscriptions, and all that.
Different. We have a different category for it. But
I'm not
drinking.
So
tickets for a bar or a show.
Yeah. Well, I have my Bananas tickets and my Ghost Pirates tickets that are on there. And that's, what my entertainment is, what I categorize that, because that is the entertainment. Like we go out to go Bananas.
Right.
Go Ghost Pirates.
Well, they're not sponsored. So based upon your total household income, your household income is $5,500 and your take home is $7,600. And this is the kind of budget that you set for yourself, and left over to save is about $2,000 each month. Okay, so let's break this down a little bit further. So that is your budget, and I would say that it's a pretty healthy income for your level. So let's go through some of your statements, right? So you use Chase Reserve. Actually, let's go through.
Oh wait, so this is after taxes.
Yes, this is your take home pay.
Correct. Yeah, I made sure to do that.
Yeah,
if you don't, you're an idiot.
Exactly. Well, you're not an idiot, but you just you don't represent your income level fairly.
I would say, younger me would not know that.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, wait, what do you mean? Who the heck is Fid? Like, why is he getting this much money?
Security. Yeah, that's a whole nother episode of all right. All right, so look at your checking account. So you have $15,000 and $3,000. So you have about $19,000 of cash on hand. Which, if you look at this, I always recommend here that you should have 3 to 6 months of your expenses. And I have a very specific formula that I use. And if you go I have an ebook that I wrote that I have very specific steps that you should do to follow, and I'm going to follow that with you as we do this financial review. But in order for you to have your target, your emergency fund, your first emergency fund target is $16,000, and that should be moved into a savings account. So that's one of the first actions I have for you is you need to stay up to your emergency fund first before anything else, before your credit card, for anything else, which I know is counterintuitive. You then move those funds over into a high yield savings account. So you need about $16,500 in that, and then
you lost me. So back to we'll have to get to, the critical breakdown first with help. But yeah, I know that I need to be having some sort of, emergency fund. Problem is, at the end, in the way that my pay is not like, I'm assuming your pay. Like you might get paid every month on one day and it's the same every single time. Mine is every 2 weeks, but then at the end of the month, which is delayed time and time again for verification purposes, we're looking at a 15 to 35 day delay on the commission structure that comes in.
You need more in your emergency fund.
I need more in the emergency fund.
You need way more.
What the commission that comes in does help, but it's not guaranteed every month, and it also doesn't hit on the same time every time. I mean, it does hit at the same time, but
if you were a real estate agent, you don't know what you're paying.
Right.
I get it. So what I'm saying to you, people in Chase's profession, people in your profession that does sales, that their income is, I call it variable income, where you don't have consistent income, right? Those folks,
I do have a salary, but that salary is
probably nothing.
The salary is less than what I'm spending on.
Exactly.
And that's what's the problem.
Exactly. It is a problem. And so this is what I tell people in your profession, you should ultimately have a higher emergency fund. So real estate agents who are listening to this, what it was like back in 2020, all you had to do is write a little description, bam, you get a $20,000 check, let's go. I know a lot of my friends who were real estate agents right when the time got great. Now you don't see as many real estate agents because the interest rates are higher. in these professions, you need to have a higher level of variable income that you put into an emergency fund. Same thing with mortgage brokers. Like one of my best friends is a mortgage broker, and he has a 12-month, probably a 2-year emergency fund, which that's aggressive. I'm not saying that, but I think you should have it. You should start with a 3-month emergency fund.
I got to start with.
You can't touch it.
I need to start with having $1,000 emergency fund.
I'm more aggressive than $1,000 emergency fund because having 3 months of emergency fund, this is specific for you. I looked at your credit card statements and your credit. You need to start there. No, meaning like you need to save you need to have that money in your savings as an emergency fund so you don't pull out your credit card, which we'll get into in just a second. So let's drop through your net worth. So you have 20 grand in your checking account. You have 66,500 in your 401k, which is pretty good for your age. By the way, you're beating bullshit. But you're beating the
I know.
You're beating your age. The average age for your age bracket, I looked it up, is 50,000. So you're beating yours by 16,000.
It could be dreaming, but I've transferred jobs and moved my 401k multiple different times, and 3 or 4 times, whatever. There's a process. It's annoying, but that 65 I've had more in it than 65. It has come down. And then when doing my scrub, from before the podcast, found out that like since the beginning of the year, I wasn't contributing anything to it.
Let's pause.
Mad.
So Joe and Josh are video editing this. People listen on the podcast. Like I shout out to my video editors all the time. I want like since Chase sat down and did these financial statements, understood what he was spending, he recognized an error where he was not contributing to his 401k. And does your employer match?
They do match. I know.
Sorry, mother-in-law. I got to say a fuck.
Yeah. No, I was, I think I texted you or I called you right away. I'm like, what the fuck? I was mad.
I wanted to dig into that. Because the crazy thing about that is like, and
some employers mandate it, other employers don't. And
mandated was.
So when I say mandated, like maybe it's just my ignorance, but I assume that once I sign up for the 401k and I'm like, here's a plan, and I pick that, and then I have a 6%, I want to do 6%, 8%, 9%. I went through all of that when they switched over to the 401k stuff. Apparently I have to call in. I have to do it every year. Every year.
I'm not saying that's every employer, but my employer, they don't make you.
Yeah.
But if you don't elect anything, they actually will not select anything for you. So that's actually pretty common. So,
okay. Yeah.
but
still,
that's okay.
I'm upset.
That's something.
I'm upset.
There's not many investments out there, Chase, that you get 100%. Like if you put $100 in, they'll put $100 in. There's not too many investments out there where you get that significant. So this is one of the most benefits. So you did leave money on the table on that. But the good thing is you're going to course correct that and do that. And that's going to impact your net worth. That's why it's so important, guys. Please, if you're listening, how important is it to sit down and do your net worth and do your expenses and to analyze that? Like I'm a little bit of a Nazi with that. I don't know if I can say that word because I do it every month. No, I do it every month. I'm like, we're spending this, we're spending that, we're spending this. Like we're way off budget, and poor Em, my wife, like we just had a whole come to Jesus conversation about spending because the Bigby household is spending a lot more money than we're making. And we've been doing that for several months, and I had to put it down. Like we can't be doing that anymore. And we still haven't had that conversation. And I think a lot of couples out there, I know you guys know what I mean, but we can't be in a spending deficit. That's just not something that we can do. It's just we can't. We got to cut somewhere. Anyway, back to you, Chase. Your primary residence is about $335,000, which is around the average of America right now. $350,000 is the average household, which I did a whole episode on that. And then the automobile, your present value is $35,000. So that brings you up to about $369,000. Your total assets are $450,000.
Nice.
So let's go ahead and just do one of these.
Clap.
Yes. So $500,000 is what your total assets. Now let's look at your liabilities. Let's pause there. Does that shock you?
No. Well, yeah. So it does. You said liabilities first. You tricked me. Like I was like, I have liabilities. Like, no doubt.
We'll get in those. And I really want to dig into those. And that's where the heart of the episode is going to be in your liabilities. So you owe
wonderful
181, 161. Tell me.
I think it was 163.
163. Okay.
Did I text it to you?
I think you did, but I'm
Yeah.
updating your spreadsheet now. Okay.
It's okay. It's okay.
So 163. Your auto loan is 30,000. Your credit card debt. First of all, you have 3 credit cards.
Mhm.
Okay. Your credit card one, you have $10,363.84.
Yep.
Okay. Second one, you have $7,984.45.
Yep.
And the third one, you have $2,974. And then you also have a HELOC, which we
Yep.
talked about your HELOC, right? And it's 50,000.
Mhm.
So for someone that has a really healthy income, your credit cards, which do you know your interest rates per one?
27, 29, and 29.
Do you know how much money you're paying in interest every month on those 3?
Probably $200 a month on each
On
card.
each card. So you're
Yeah.
paying $600. So this is what you're doing, Jace. You're paying $600 to make someone else richer.
No,
That's $600 that someone's taking out of your
Yeah.
pocket and then putting it somewhere else.
look,
And
I know.
you're paying. Are you paying your balances off every month?
Yeah.
So you are.
Well, look, the problem is they're like, you said you have 2,000, extra, like that's the thing. Like I'll have an extra 2K and I throw that into the checking account and then another $600 from the 3, builds up. So some things happened and I can't remember really what happened.
Things
Like,
happen. Like,
well,
let's look at your statements before we go.
go ahead. Yeah. But like,
Let's
there's
go through your statements because I want to go through facts and statements. But yes, so you recognize and you're seeking help for this. This is why you're on the show. Okay, and then your HELOC is 50,000. So your total liabilities is 265,000,
Sweet.
which is not as honestly as it's
It's
not
less than what my
assets are, which is not that as bad. But if you calculate, like if that was like to an equity, you have 3 unsecured lines and 1 secured line, which is a home equity line. What I mean by that is you have an asset-backed credit line, and then you have 3 unsecured, which you're at 27+%, right? So your total net worth, you ready? 189,000 positive. That's your total net worth. So someone at your age,
It's not enough.
it's never enough. Even like when I did my net worth, it's never enough. It will never be enough, and that's a good thing because then
That's why it's my turn to win the lottery.
it is your turn to win the lottery. That is not a good investment. Susan does not advocate winning the lottery.
No. But do you never like fantasize about like what I would do
Always
every
And I
day?
play the lottery too.
Like I dream about the Roman Empire, like what like what to do with the Roman Empire, and also like what would I do if I had $1 billion just liquid capital? I would be a fucking problem.
Yeah, probably for your personal.
I would be a
life.
problem.
So 189,000 is your net worth, right? All right. So out of everything I talked about, what's your biggest insecurity about this? About like your assets, your liabilities? Like, what do you want to tackle?
My debt.
Exactly. So let's go there. So the first one that we're looking at is your Chase Reserve card. And it did sign out on me. So you have 12,000 you have 10,000 on your card. So let's just break this down a little bit. As I look at your statements, they're going up and up and up, right? So you had like 2,000, 3,000, now you're up to 10,000. So combined, your interest charge on this one card alone, you're paying them $250 to hold this balance every single month.
Mm-hmm.
For your American Express, you're paying them $170 every single month.
Mm-hmm.
And then for your city, you're paying them $115.
So the city's way worse.
City is way worse for the balance.
So the reason I had the city card though is it was a balance transfer, and this is what pisses me off about that city card. I got the city card, 0% interest for 15 months. You could do a balance transfer, and I was like, this is great. I can put a balance transfer where I pay 0% interest and just kind of tackle it away, like chip off on the debt. Well, in the fine print of the card, it was like, oh, there's only a 3-month aspect with the balance transfer. So they told me up and down for 15 months you have 0%. For 12 months you have 0%. Like, oh, but this was just this is a thing. And so I had a credit limit, which was like $4,000 or $5,000 on the credit card, and that's cool. Like I can just 2 or 3 months pay off that, and I'm paying 0% interest, just at least knocking off these credit card things. It just probably expired, like to where now it's having a high interest rate, and I'll pay that one off first because it's the lowest balance. But that freaking card pisses me. I do not like that card. I'm mad at that card.
Cut it.
Deal.
Cut it.
I don't have my wallet on me. But
this is worth it enough to pause the show. Let's go get it. Let's cut that son of a bitch. Let's do it on the show.
Yeah. All right. So pause to.
All right. So we're
The
resuming.
stupid fucking city card.
Cut it up. Cut it
Yeah.
up, dude. Cut it up, bro. Ah!
Now, I will give this, as I know about credit cards, I wanted that card to do well for me by being a balance transfer. Thought it was great. But I think it gave me one balance transfer, and by the time that balance transfer I was able to pay for it, I couldn't do another one.
Right. This is how they get you, though. This is how they get you. This is something I'm looking right into the camera. So, guys, do not be sucked in by balance transfers. If you are responsible with credit and you don't have many credit cards, I know people who did balance transfer, have a balance transfer, have a balance transfer. However, there's sometimes a fee associated with the balance transfer. I'm not sure if there was a fee.
There wasn't a fee associated with this, but they basically ended. And what I do know now is you have to look at more than just one. Basically, I didn't, and I was like, oh, this would end up working. Didn't matter because they said 12 months 0% or 24 months 0%, whatever. I think it was 12 months. I got it, and then had a card that like I didn't need anymore. And what ended up happening though is there was 0% APR for that. So like I would use purchases, and that's what this, the last, couple of these transfer ones were, or at least the $3,000 were purchases. I just made some purchases because I'm not paying any interest on it, and that expired. So I don't need that card anymore. I can even pay it off right now with the stuff that's left over on my checking account.
Yeah. And we'll get into that. Like, what's the best strategy for you at the end? So, okay. So we cut up the credit card. And it's a balance transfer. I look at your transactions. There weren't many transactions. It's like little pisses, like, hey, there's a parking fee, there's this and this, this size of what. All right. So now let's turn to your Amex card.
Yeah.
Amex card, I'm looking at all the expenses. I'm just going to do a quick review of some of these expenses. So you're paying $260 for Crunch Fitness.
So yeah, that was health. I was paying for personal training, and I subsequently got an injury. So all last year I paid about $6,000 for a personal trainer throughout the entire year. That was planned. But what I'd say is I got injured later on last year, and they continued to keep charging me. So $280 every 2 weeks when I wasn't using the gym because I tore everything in my shoulder. And that's a lot.
Let me understand this. So when you're doing this, was it physical therapy or was it training?
No, it's going training.
So this is where I'm challenged that a little bit with you. As a D1 athlete,
Yeah.
why the hell would you pay $260? I'm seeing another charge, by the way. I'm seeing another charge in February for $260.
Yeah. So yeah, looking the previous year, I paid for the personal training because it's motivation. I mean, like that's really what it is.
But like, what's more important to you, motivation for that or motivation to get out of debt? Because right now you have $21,000 or $20,000 of credit card debt. You're paying $600 to hold these balances.
Yeah.
So you cannot create your own motivation and go to the gym and work out yourself. Like that's something that you have to.
No. So again, as I was saying before, like I can justify the purchases. And what I will say is from the beginning of the year after I got injured, the excess charges, the charges that I continue to go on there that I didn't catch, and luckily I did and made sure I put a stop to them, that's a lot of money. But that's also a thing that I'm reducing back, from doing that. I was able
to, though, Chase. What I'm noticing is you're having charges, and sometimes you don't know that you're getting charged.
Yeah.
But it's not just you; it's everybody. I even look at my stuff, and when I see a charge, so What can you do differently to monitor your expenses?
Not be so flippant with providing my credit card information when I'm signing up for stuff.
I agree with that, and I'm going to hold you to it. So based upon, I don't see any gym on your, I see $29.99.
Yeah, $20. That's the gym membership.
But really, you're spending $330 for one person. Which, by the way,
It's every 2 weeks.
every 2 weeks.
So the personal training pays for 3 months at a time, and the payment is, let's say, whatever. What is 280?
260.
260. So 260 every 2 weeks for 6 months, whatever that is.
We're gonna stop that, right?
Of course, it's gone. It's done now.
It's done now. But I saw the last charge I saw was back in February. Okay, good. So you have Balenciaga, you have Hulu. You're paying $90 for Hulu.
Yeah, that's for football.
Okay, so I get that, but you're also paying $200 a month for AT&T. Do you think that you can bundle AT&T with cable?
No, because AT&T is just the internet, and I can get internet for $80 a month. I just spent $180 on it because I called AT&T and said, "Hey, set this up," and didn't tell them to not do the $200 a month one.
Yeah.
It's too much. It's not necessary.
So we can reduce there.
We can reduce there.
Okay. So what I'm seeing from your budget and what I'm seeing from your statements, they don't add up. You're spending a hell of a lot more money than you're taking in.
Uh-huh.
This is a problem.
Yeah,
Do you see how this is a problem?
I know. That's why I gave myself an ulcer when I was looking at it.
But it's good though. But the thing is, you're in a good place. You're in a safe space. We're going to go through this. So we're going to cancel all the crunches like we talked about.
I did do that.
Good. And then your subscription. So I'm seeing in your budget, your subscription, you're paying $120 for subscription service. So you have Hulu, that's $90. What else do you have?
So AMC, go to the movies, which is $24 a month. I have them written down because I was
How often do you go to the movies?
2 or 3 times a month.
How much is a ticket on average?
$20 ticket.
Okay.
Nah, $15 ticket, $12 a ticket.
So you're going to have to compromise because your entertainment budget is $415. That's what you're saying on the spreadsheet.
No, it's more.
It's way more.
Yeah,
Way more.
I know. So Hulu is $89.99. Apple is $19.99.
You watch Apple TV, what's on there?
If I know, I got it, and that's still there. I'll cancel it. Yeah. But like I have it. Like that's what I found when I was doing these scrubs.
Yeah, but good though. The good.
Oh, Monarch. I did. You know what? I think I got it from Monarch, and
loved it.
Monarch was dope. Monarch was worth $20. It was not worth it consistently going through.
That's what's happening. They're
And
loving your ass.
I think I also have HBO Max account, which is through Apple. So that's another $15.
Are you actively watching anything on?
Yeah, HBO. I watch a lot on HBO.
But the thing.
Game of Thrones, went through the whole Game of Thrones thing, Lauren and I.
But they're not. Oh, okay.
Ninja
The
Kamui.
thing is, you have $120 of subscription services, and then you also have $20,000 of debt.
I'm not paying
So
multiple subscriptions for that. I just have all of the subscriptions, and I need to pick the ones that I need.
yes, I would say cut it in half. Cut it to $60
Which ones? Wait, it was $60 for what?
for whatever you want to pick. I think you should cut your subscription services in half. I think that's for your income level. You're paying 3% of your income into subscription services.
Yeah.
3% of your income.
It's too much money.
It's way too much money. So what I'm
Too much
suggesting to
money.
you is you need to figure out a way to cut that. So maybe you just keep Hulu. Also, too, this is probably not.
It's probably, that's not $60 a month. That's $89.
It is. So I think that you can talk to your AT&T provider and you can get cable and you can probably get football, or you got a lot of friends, go to their house. You know, you're
I've
social
heard
guy.
P-dubs.
Yeah, like do you actually watch football at home? Probably.
No.
Then why are you paying? You probably can cut that. serious.
I know.
The psychology part of what I'm saying.
It's not even not psychology. It's like, I told you I got an ulcer looking at this.
Yes, and we're going to dig into that. So those are your other two credit cards. Now let's get into the credit card, or your $10,000 balance that you have. And by the way, do you realize that you pay $40 fee? for your last statement at Chase?
Excuse me?
You heard me. $40 fee.
$40 fee.
Did you pay it late?
I have no idea.
Okay. I have a rule.
Pretty sure I have it on automatic payments.
Yeah. So you need to look into that. Why are you charged a fee? If you're on automatic payment, why are you charged a fee? $40. What can you do with $40? Well, I saw about 6.
I can go to McDonald's.
Well, true. I saw about 6 empty Monster cans in your truck. Like, we got to cut that down too. So that's $40 you could say.
Yeah.
And the fact you don't know what that is, like, that is a certain level of
Error, idiocy.
There you go.
Yeah, I mean,
This I know.
so I'm very much stupid when it goes to this because it's not ignorant. Like, ignorance is without having knowledge. Like, stupid is having knowledge and not utilizing it.
Yes.
And much of this is stupidity.
It is. Well, it's stupidity, but it's not knowing where your money is going.
Yeah,
That's the biggest thing that I'm trying to show you.
Stupid.
Yeah, and in the future, you need to know where your money's going.
Yeah.
Cut up one credit card, so we're making progress on today's show. So that's it. All right, so let's go through your expenses a little bit here. So you have $268 of Neo, Brassiere, Savannah.
So went out and Laura and I went on a date night.
So for someone who has $20,000 in credit card debt, you're paying $600 a month and the whole your balance is. How I see it, date night should consist of not $268.
Shit, Savannah's expensive to live at, homie.
Can you cook?
Sure can.
There you go. So $268, that's a thing of the past until you get where you're going.
Right.
That's what I'm telling you. And you have to have a hard conversation. So, for example, I had a hard conversation with my family this year. We didn't do Christmas presents. Normally we do. Normally I took my parents to Nashville and we did the whole thing, right? It was like, it's a dream of mine to do that because my dad's been talking about that forever. And I was able to help him get there, right? This year, Emily quit her job. We cut our income in half, and we're high income earners. And we didn't do Christmas presents this year, and then people gave us Christmas gifts and I didn't tell them, and I probably should have done that. It's probably on me, but I didn't feel good about it. But I want to get to a certain place before I'm able to provide the generosity. There's things that you can do on date night that's a lot cheaper than $270.
I know. I mean, look, I'm very aware that I should not be doing the things that I'm doing. I just continue to do them, which
$600, Chase. You're making someone else rich. That should piss you off.
no.
$600 a month that's someone that you're paying.
Correct.
Like,
To front me money so that I can go out and feel like a boss.
$600 a month. That's your car payment.
Yeah, I know.
What's JC Lewis Motor Company? $800.
JC, so that is my car. So I went and got my car serviced, got it looked at, got the oil change. They changed brakes, they changed different that's expensive.
$860 though? You can't.
I have 75,000 miles on my truck.
So let me ask you this. Does your company pay for
I get reimbursed for it, yeah.
Okay. So Publix, you're spending $960. Nothing But Cakes, you spent $30. Office Max, you spent
Work.
But that you're getting. The thing is,
Get reimbursed for it.
you're getting reimbursed for it, but are you getting your interests reimbursed for it?
No, I'm not. But I do the expenses every single week, so I try to mitigate and try to cut that stuff down.
So
I don't pay any taxes on the reimbursements either. I just have to make sure I do the expense reports on time so that I get it back in time. The company is excellent at being able to reimburse, which is better than any other job I've been with.
well, that's good. That's good. You have a late fee because of total fees for this period is $40. You paid your payment late, so you need to look at your auto adjustment.
Shit.
Yeah, so that's $40. $40. That's date night right there. That's where your date night should be.
Yeah. You go to Costco and get a whole bunch of chicken bakes. Have a great time.
100%. It's who you're with, not the experience. So Chase,
You've been to Savannah?
yeah,
Savannah's great.
Charlotte's expensive. Like, yes, but right now,
Charlotte's cheaper than Savannah.
so
100%.
so let's look into this. What's more important to you, date night or being debt free?
Making my wife's significant other happy is more important to me.
But you don't need to spend $270. I'm just
You're right. You're not. You're
guarantee you, like in 10
Forgive
years,
me. I don't mean to. That was an incorrect way to respond to that. Being better financially is what is more important.
100%. Especially if
I don't know why I was trying to defend. I'm not trying to defend my action. I did that. All I'm saying is, like, remember I was saying, like, I can justify everything. It's like, this was a good night. We had fun. It was a great thing. It's not necessary, and I know that.
and especially in your situation. So we went through your credit cards. We went through all your things. This is not a laughing matter. This is actually very serious. Someone at your
it was a dig. I was laughing so I didn't get upset.
You are putting yourself at so much financial risk. And as I looked at your statements, it went from 2,000 to 4,000. Now you're 10,000. Like, the banks love you. You are what I call a golden customer for the banks. And the banks want people like you.
Cool.
Who have high income, but who spends more money than they're bringing in. You're spending way more money than you're bringing in. And you've been doing that for quite a bit. So you, in my opinion, like, you cut up one credit card. I'm not going to push you, but I think you should cut up every single credit card because you have demonstrated you're unable to handle credit card responsibly. I'm sorry. I'm looking at your statements. I'm just being 100% honest. But I'm trying to help you, though. I'm trying to help you. I think...
Doesn't sound like it.
No, I am trying to help you. I'm trying to help you. So I think that you do not need... Sorry, you're making me laugh. But you do not need to move forward with your credit cards. I think that's something that you should cut up. I think that you should move forward with...
Unfortunately, though, Zach, I'm going to stop you because if you look at the statement, you can read over it or Spark notes it. 70% of those purchases are business related.
But you're going in debt for your business.
Well, yeah. But it's not necessary. I mean, I wouldn't say I'm going in debt. I'm being reimbursed for that. It's just not represented on the statements for that checking because I have it broken up into two different bank accounts. Again, I'm not defending that, just saying, like, all you're seeing is the expenditures there. And then the minimal amounts of payments back onto the credit card are because they're going elsewhere to other expenses and other things, which is why I'm having this setup with you. So it's like, hey, look, where do I focus the amount of money that I'm making to, better put myself into a in a financial situation. Like that credit card is my spend credit card.
So you spent $2,700 last credit statement, and
probably spend up to $7,000 a month just traveling, working, being in hotels.
How much of that is actually in your like your company?
I would say about 70 to 80%.
Okay, so
I mean, you have the statements.
I do have the statements, but what you're telling me, what I'm seeing on the statements, they're not necessarily adding all the way up.
Okay, then
what I'm telling you is yes, and I think having the information, I didn't have that before when I did your financial analysis before the show. I didn't see where most of that was from your company, and that makes sense. However, you're spending money on for your company, but you're also getting in your debt for that. And
because I'm not
you're
focusing it.
You're paying $600 a month in interest, and for someone you have a pretty healthy income. What I'm recommending to you, and you cut up one, we'll do baby steps here because we'll do another one of these. I think you should cut up every single one of them. I don't think you should close the accounts. Now, do you have an annual fee with them?
No. Well, I'll tell you what other card I'll cut up is the
Let's do it. You're going to cut down. You're going to cut 3 to 1?
3 to
Dude,
1.
Let's do it. Cut it.
Yeah. Where'd it go? Oh, here it is. My credit is still fucking low.
You are in a interesting situation. 7 inquiries on your credit report. You are a victim of identity theft.
No, I'm not.
Yes, you are.
Am I? It's a very humbling experience to look at, like, what you are doing with your hard-earned money that you're not seeing any benefit from.